I see thee walking up. Good night. Good night, everybody in St. Patrick's. It is my pleasure to be here. But I want to take this another direction. I want to bring you back, as the old lady in Golden Girls says, picture it before 2018. Because I'm watching the meetings of the other people, and they're bringing up some things like if they have forgotten where we came from. So let's take it back. I want to start with health because that's my pet area. You know this. I'm hearing people on the platform saying that the hospital is in a mess, and I'm not going to deny that we are pristine. I can't. But what I want to remind you is that we found the hospital in a mess. I was one of the first to get up in Parliament to advocate for the hospital, to say the crap that was going on, to talk about the wars and the patient care. But the DLP has forgotten. I want to remind people about where we have come from since 2018 with the healthcare services. I want to start there. When I got there as Minister of State in the Ministry of Health, after 10 years, we started back a cataract surgery. The Democratic Labour Party did no cataract surgeries for years. The numbers were piled up. I think at one point we had 600 cataract surgeries, people that needed surgery. The doctors, we got together and they agreed and they started knocking off the cataract surgeries 20 by 20, 20 by 20. We had people that were limping in wheelchairs for over 10 years. I had patients that were on the list for joint replacement surgery. They died before they got it. I want to remind the Democratic Labour Party of this. Joint replacement surgeries were started back in 2022 when I was there. I need to remind you. I want to talk about Barbados being a country where everybody from 0 to 110 will get free health care. Whether it be in the private sector, depending on your age, below 16, the medication is free. The health care at the polyclinic is free. I want to remind Barbados that the National Drug Service, the Barbados Drug Service, was started under the Barbados Labour Party in 1981. I want to remind them of that. That is where medication is offered free to the public. I checked the numbers today, and a simple medication, I know some of you might know it, diabetes and hypertension. In Barbados, if you spend more than $17 at most, because it's the government supplements, you spend a lot. Overseas, I checked the number, 3 months medication for that tablet is over $200 and rising. This is what the National Drug Service, started by the Barbados Labour Party, has done for you. I want to talk about education. I just checked the numbers. I am a medical doctor, as all of you know, and I benefited from the free tuition that the government supplements and offers. I looked at the numbers. You know how much a medical degree costs? If I had the money or didn't have the money? $65,000 a year. And it's a 7-year course, roughly. That is what I would have had to pay under the Democratic Labour Party before we changed the rules and put it back that students in Barbados can enjoy free education. This is one of the things that Barbados is proud of, that our people are educated. This is our single most important resource. And the Democratic Labour Party attempted to take it from you. I want to remind us about, before we entered the election in 2018, how the garbage was all over these streets. My house, we ran out of cans to put the garbage in, and I'm sure yours too. The garbage was overflowing in Barbados, but yet I'm hearing them in the platform complain about sanitation and the garbage not being picked up. Most of us can boast, maybe not all, that there's a regular pickup of garbage in our districts. No. He mentioned the transport board, but I want to remind the opposition leader the then opposition leader, no, we dissolved, yeah, and the other members, I want to remind them that transportation was not pristine when we entered government. Transportation was downright horrible. It's deteriorated a little bit, but we get here. I look at the statistics, and we brought in several buses to add to the fleet. I think the government has spent $58 million thus far since 2018 on transportation to get our people to and from, to get you to the doctor, to get you to the polyclinic, to get you everywhere. That is how we do it. I want to remind us now, the buzzword for this week or so is VAT and decreasing VAT. Remember, who put on the VAT? Yes, Barbados Labour Party. But who took it up? The same people that are now asking for us to decrease it. It didn't make sense to me. But the problem is they do not have the plan to supplement when the VAT is missing. What happens to the finance? I am not the financier, so I won't linger on that. But these are some of the things that we face and that we're hearing. The manifesto mentions things like passage of the human transplant bill. Do you know what that will mean for Barbadians? I will tell you. Right now, we have a large set of individuals that are on dialysis, that are dying from kidney failure because of diabetes, hypertension, and other causes. You know what it will mean? And it's a human transplant. We're already doing kidney transplantation. But that bill will give us the opportunity to harvest organs from the deceased so that families can give to their relatives. We're talking about lens replacement, cornea replacement is the word I'm looking for. These are things, progressive things that Barbados needs to catch up on. And these are some of the manifesto promises. I got a whole book here talking about things. People forgot that when we enter, we decrease the VAT on the electric bills, that's the question. Decrease the VAT on the electric bills to 10%. Nobody remembers that. I'm in health. People are not remembering that things like the basket of goods has been expanded. There are several items that are no rated or zero rated, no VAT. We're talking about healthy items. We're trying with the NCDs. Healthy items that people can be healthy. And so that if you can buy healthy items, people complain it's a strain on your pocket, but look at it this way. If you could buy healthy items for your diabetes and hypertension, you don't have to visit the doctor as much and spend the $90 to $300 every so often. It's less of a burden at the hospital, which you know is inundated with non-tertiary care things. People go there for the cough and cold and many things, but that's where education, the public comes in. These are the things that we did. Things like baby items. We took the VAT off. Diapers, baby food. Things for the diabetics like Glucerna, you know the supplements. Many people in front of me must be diabetic, according to our numbers. These are things that we did as a country. I know Kurt Keir worked hard. One of the things that I really admired her for was the national ID. It got a lot of flack, it got a lot of talk, and it made it my business to talk to somebody that did it. And it's necessary. It's totally necessary. You see the confusion now with the voters list, what people complaining about? The ID cards are necessary and futuristic. The days of walking around the blue ID with all the dog ears on every corner are gone. Kid did that, as far as I remember. Kid did that. Kid was instrumental talking about health again in the school nutrition policy, where we are providing meals now, healthier meals, less salt, less sugar, to the public, to your children. People complain, but it's our duty to really guide people in the right direction for healthier lives. Care was a major part of that, along with the Ministry of Health. And kudos to her for that. So there are many things. I'm trying to think. I have a whole book. We have the elderly to think about. The new geriatric hospital is almost completed. Up to today and yesterday, I have people reaching out to me that they don't have choices in terms of looking after the old people. Some of them take the chance of leaving them at home alone. What about a house fire? Some of them only have one child. Some of the old people have children and none of them will look at them. But we have a program where we have a free system for the geriatric care. Not only that, but the government supplements, if they're in a private home, actually supplements the cost of them being there. So we are doing things. And to hear people saying that the Barbados Labour Party has done nothing in the 7+ years that we were here is almost hurtful. The last time I spoke on this ground, I'm a little ashamed of it, but I think you remember I burst out in tears for my country. It was a little embarrassing, and I promise not to do it tonight, but I burst out in tears for my country. But when I think that as a self-employed person, way back in the day, NIS did not provide enough provisions, not so way back for the self-employed. Now we have that self-employed will be paid for maternity leave and sick leave and everything. How many people boast in that? You need to remind the Democratic Labour Party, remind them, because their history is poor. They don't read, they don't watch social media, they don't do anything like that. They don't remember that the non-contributory pensions were increased. And I think some of the people that actually run it might have benefited from that. There are some old folks that are mixing up the words, and perhaps he's benefiting from it. These are things we have introduced. We have lengthened the maternity leave by another 2 weeks. You know how many times I have to give mothers sick leave and pray to God and NAS don't call me because they're not ready to go back to work? We have increased that by another 2 weeks. We have even added a paternity relief for 2 weeks that the fathers will have no excuse but to wake up in the night and help look after the child. That is for you. The Barbados Labour Party has done so much. We haven't done everything right. I will be the first to admit it. You know me. But we have done a lot right. Housing. I like the social sector. This is why I speak to you of it. Housing. Since we got in, we have provided housing. I think every MP has seen to it that their constituents got a piece of the rock. I had many myself that got a piece of the rock. But not only that, the manifesto says, at least in St. Philip North to be precise, there will be 42 acres allotted at Dodds, which will provide how much? 266 lots. Vineyard, they're using 140 acres. 40 of those acres are for 400 houses. That is what the Barbados Labour Party, and I need to remind you of this. The legacy of Barbadians and their parents before then, that they had to own a piece of the rock. And the Barbados Labour Party is doing so. These are things that I need to remind people of. There's help, more help for the disabled. I have women that are older than I am that have disabled children. And you know what the first thing they worry about? They're worried about if they die, what will happen to their adult child. I call it adult child. The Barbados Labour Party, under the Prime Minister, Mia Motley, has added more benefits to the disabled so that they could be a part of the community and feel like a part of the community. The National Insurance Scheme, I'm still with the NIS thinking, is providing help for those financially. Welfare has been increased. These are the things that I need to remind the public when they're wondering if to vote or not to vote because they've been seeing the MP to think on. And I was just having a discussion with Tony. And the truth is, we hear a lot that you have not been on the ground, nobody is seeing you, but both of us have very large constituencies. And does the work that we show you suggest that we don't know what's going on? We're working, and we're working hard. The Democratic Labour Party, especially the men that seem to have no consideration for women whatsoever, although they have mothers and sisters and aunties and friends that are female, do not understand what it means to be a female politician. And I want to say it here on behalf of Kay and Tony and the other females in the party. We have families. When the fellas stay late at Parliament to have a drink, you know where they head? Home. To prepare a meal for the little one they have, not so little now. But for a female politician, it is extremely hard, even harder than a male, to reach every single soul of the 11,000 people I have in my constituency. And Kay will have difficulty in reaching every single soul. I don't know her numbers in her constituency. And so does Tony. And so does Indar, since we must include the men, I suppose. But the fact that you would decide not to vote because you have not seen the MP since the last election, which is just about 3.5 years ago, I think, is an excuse. You know what we are doing. You see it in print. You hear it on the news. You see it on social media. You hear it on the platforms. That is an excuse. You need to come out. You need to vote. I am not saying blindly to do what your grandparents have done and your great-grandparents have done, but in the quiet of the night, in the stillness of the night, when you wake up at 3 o'clock to go to the bathroom like many of us do, I just want you to think on it. Think on it when nobody's around to influence you. Think about what the Barbados Labour Party has done and is doing. Think about where you came from before 2018 for 10 years of nothingness. In the still of the night, I want you to think, does it make sense to stay home? Because you know where you got, but you don't know where you can get. You cannot take it for granted that we will get the election, we will win the election, but we need your help. For sure we need your help. Nobody can take it for granted. So on the 11th of February, which is next week, is not so far away, next week, I need you to make up your mind and put logic to it and know that the Barbados Labour Party has work to continue. We're not asking for a chance to correct things. We're asking for a chance to continue on the trajectory that we have been on. In the still of the night, I want you to think of these things and call your next door neighbor and say, you know, I think we need to vote. This so-called voter apathy can't work. We need to vote, and we need to display the right that black people and women have fought for decades and centuries, to have the opportunity to vote for your government, to get the right government to work for you. This is what I want you to consider. I'm not going to take up the 20 minutes, but those are a few of the things that burn me when I hear them on the platform in their spot meetings that don't have half of this crowd. But these are things that burn me. So think on it. There's a little red book that is being distributed everywhere, and it shows you the path we have come, and the manifesto shows you the path we are going. So with that, I want to encourage you to come out to vote, do what you know is right, to have a good night, sleep well, and God bless.